Hi guys, welcome to Mrs. V Teaches English. Today we are going to look at the poem An African Elegy by Ben Okri. So let's jump in and look at the poet himself. Ben Okri is an African writer. He was born in Nigeria in 1959, then spent his early childhood in London, and we see that he went to university both in the UK and Nigeria. He published his first novel by the age of 21, which I think is really a significant achievement. We see that Okri is really considered one of the foremost African authors in both postmodern and post-colonial traditions. Now, post-colonialism, we've looked at it before when we did an African Thunderstorm. It really deals with the different in power relations between groups of people, cultures, language, etc. And postmodernism really focuses on political and historical issues. So important things that he's writing about. He really writes about the developments in Africa after the end of colonialism and examines this struggle against corruption and exploitation. And he's won many awards for his work. Now, An African Elegy is not only the name of the poem, but also the name of the anthology that he wrote in 1992. And in this anthology, he really urges Africans to overcome the forces of chaos within the country. I want us to read through the poem together and then think as I read what you suspect this poem is all about. An African Elegy. We are the miracles that God made to taste the bitter fruit of time. We are precious, and one day our suffering will turn into the wonders of the earth. There are things that burn me now, which turn golden when I am happy. Do you see the mystery of our pain? That we bear poverty and are able to sing and dream sweet things, and that we never curse the air when it is warm, or the fruit when it tastes so good, or the lights that bounce gently on the waters. We bless things even in our pain. We bless them in silence. That is why our music is so sweet. It makes the air remember. There are secret miracles at work that only time will bring forth. I too have heard the dead singing, and they tell me that life is good. They tell me to live it gently, with fire, and always with hope. There is wonder here. And here is surprise in everything the unseen moves. The ocean is full of songs. The sky is not an enemy. Destiny is our friend. So I want to ask you, what do you think this poem is all about? Just take a minute and consider it. And really, what I think this poem is a message of hope. If you think of this new concept of Africanacity, this is what the poem is all about. It's what it means to be African. It's that unique ability that we have as Africans to, despite all the hardships that we are facing, no matter how bad things get, we have the ability to still look for the good in life. If you think of load shedding, for example, Eskom decides to implement load shedding. In other countries, people would get angry and depressed, and in South Africa, we make a meme of it. Yes, we are suffering because of it, but we still find a way to look for humor in the situation. And that is what it's all about. This poem really describes the way of people of Africa, in spite of poverty and suffering they've experienced. They are still able to find joy in the small pleasures of life and have hope for the future. So if we look at the title, An Elegy, we've dealt with that type of poem before when we did Funeral Blues, you will remember. An elegy is usually a mournful poem that's written to mark somebody's death. And it's usually very serious and thoughtful. But this poem is not a traditional elegy because it describes the African's ability to enjoy life in spite of their troubles. It suggests that Africans have a unique way of dealing with grief and pain. Now, if we look at the type and the form, you will see it's written in free verse. There's no regular meter or rhyme scheme, and there's 6 stanzas of 5 lines each. So I want you to quickly number your lines from 1 to 30. And then we see many examples of enjambment contrasted with shorter sentences. So we have a few lines of enjambment, then we have a short sentence that stop at the end of the line. This creates changes in pace in the poem. In terms of the theme, we see it is really the overall theme here is the African people's ability to find joy and wonder in life in spite of their difficult circumstances, and to celebrate life's possibilities and mysteries. Right, now we're going to look at the line-by-line analysis for each stanza. And before you do that, I want you to identify 2 colors. Get 2 colors quickly, any 2 colors. But these 2 colors you're only going to use for one task. You're not allowed to do anything else. No other notes on this poem should be taken in this color. You can get highlighters or pencils or pens, it doesn't matter, as long as you have 2 colors. And once you have them, we're going to start with stanza 1. Right, so you're going to have 1 color for positive and 1 color for negative. My positive color is green and my negative color is yellow. So I'm going to mention certain words and phrases, and you're going to mark them in that color and then make a note. In the first stanza, I first want you to mark with your positive color miracles, precious, and wonders of the earth. Now I want you to take the negative color and mark bitter fruit and suffering. Right, now we're going to write a note on that, but let's first get to the analysis. We see that he says, we are the miracles and we are precious, and one day our suffering. Immediately we notice the use of personal pronouns. So the writer is including himself and the reader in this group of people. And very significantly, in line 1 and 2, we find that we are the miracles that God made to taste the bitter fruit of time. So in other words, he's saying Africans have been chosen by God to bear suffering. But he continues, we are precious, and one day our suffering will turn into the wonders of the earth. So one day we will be celebrated as the wonders of the earth, despite our suffering. And then in line 2, very important, we find the oxymoron there. Bitter and fruit usually don't go together. We think of fruit as being very sweet. And now we have this contrasting idea next to it. So we have that oxymoron. We are bitter but optimistic. Yes, we're suffering, but we're still positive and hopeful despite it. The word precious really refers to spirituality. So what he's saying is that suffering and hardships have the ability to turn into good things. And only through suffering can we appreciate the good things in life. And it really is true, people. If you've never struggled with something, how can you appreciate something good? It's the concept of you cannot have light without dark. So the African experience of life is unique and astonishing. Now, I want you to go back to your negative color first. And I want you to write the following note. Diction indicates painful circumstances. So everything that you're going to mark in this color will be choices of words that indicate painful circumstances. God has made Africans to experience bitter fruit and suffering. And then I want you to take your positive color and just write that note, examples of diction with positive connotation. So If you use a highlighter, of course, you're not going to write in with the highlighter. Just write it and then you highlight it like I did it. Or if you use the pencil, just color it so that you can see. And then, of course, we refer to the personal pronouns we and our. It really refers to the poet's African culture, people of Africa, and he includes us, the reader, in it. Now we're moving on to stanza 2. Again, I want you to take those two colors. First, your positive color, and I want you to mark turn golden, sing and dream sweet things. Now take your negative color and then you mark things that burn me and bear poverty. Right, so the poet says there are things that burn me now. That shows us it's in the present, which turn golden when I am happy. So again, we have a metaphor here. One's attitude really decides how we experience something. So suffering will ultimately allow us to grow into something better. They might hurt me now, but it'll be worth it in the end. Do you see the mystery of our pain? He's asking this rhetorical question. And it's also a metaphor. The mystery of their pain allows Africans to sing, even as they endure poverty. We see that in line 8 and 9. It almost gives that answer to the question. Do you see the mystery of our pain? The mystery, again, these experiences are unexplainable. But the speaker wants us to remain hopeful. So that we bear poverty. Bear there often means to carry something. So we're carrying poverty like a burden. And are able to sing and dream sweet things despite of the poverty. We are able to sing and dream sweet things. Now, I want you to notice the ing in line 9. That is assonance, of course. And then with your with your negative color, I want you to write the following note. He speaks of things that burn him and says that his people bear poverty. So that's all the negative things that hurt him and the poverty that we endure. And then with the positive color, just again, examples of diction with positive connotation. Turn golden. Golden is usually something that we associate with being valuable. Now, for this stanza, I want you to write the note at the top that there's a tone of joyful amazement here. He's amazed at our ability to do this. Then we move on to stanza 3. And he starts with and. So he wants to add to what he's already said, and that we never curse the air when it is warm, or the fruit when it tastes so good, or the lights that bounce gently on the waters. We bless things even in our pain. We bless them in our silence. So again, I want you to take your positive color, and with your positive color, you mark air, warm, fruit, good, lights, bless, and bless. And then take your negative color and mark curse and pain. And now I just want you to notice that we are going into a new development in this poem where suddenly we have more positive than negative things in the stanza that we've marked. Now, warm is something that we can feel, and fruit is something that tastes good, so we can taste it, that's a sense, and we see light. So we have a lot of sensory imagery in this poem. And we see that each negative idea is countered by a positive one. So cursing there Curse is associated with the profanities that we use when life isn't going our way. We start to use words that we shouldn't when we say, excuse my French, and we go on. Now, people in Africa have the ability, he says, to count their blessings amidst their hardships. So instead of cursing the air that is warm, we rather count our blessings. I want you to just, I think it has been indicated on your poem as well, but just make sure that you can see this line. So there's a contrast between the idea of cursing and blessing, of course. So just make sure you can see that contrast and then write this note. Suffering has not caused Africans to become bitter. No, we are still able to appreciate life's pleasures. Instead of cursing pleasant things like warm air and tasty fruit, we bless them. We look for the positive in the situation. And then take your negative color and just write the note. Diction indicates painful circumstances. And take your positive color, and there's your note on the positive color. Only the small pleasure of life and how African people are still able to bless them. Opposite of curse in line 11. And I really want you to try and imagine this. Try and feel that sun that's basking on your skin, not on a warm January day, but more like a September day. And think of some sweet, juicy fruit that you've tasted for a while. And then think of, especially those of you who are in hostel, think of how the light looks when it hits the water on the Olifantsneck Dam. And it looks like it's dancing on it. And it's things that really make Africa unique and that we love about our home country. Now, for this stanza, the tone there, optimistic, positive. Okay, now stanza 4. He says, that is why our music is so sweet. So because we count our blessings, our lives are so much better. Right? And now again, take your positive color and please mark sweet, secret, work, singing. He says the music is so sweet, it makes the air remember. Now, if you think of air, it's really something that it's not tangible. You cannot capture it. So if even that has the ability to remember, you must imagine how sweet, how good our music is. Air, remember, of course, is personification. Because air does not have the ability to remember, we're giving it a human attribute to remember. There are secret miracles at work. Again, we have that mysterious thing going on here where secret miracles that we don't quite understand. Why? Why are we able to do this? And they really say, people who have traveled extensively, they say that nowhere else you will find people that have this ability that we have as Africans. And then we see he personifies time, that only time will bring forth. So these secret miracles, only time will eventually reveal it. And by capitalizing time, he's showing us that he's personifying it. So the personification, it's also seen as a bit of a metaphor, so you can identify both. Now we get to an interesting part. He says, I too have heard the dead singing. Personification there because of the dead that usually can't sing. But immediately we're taken to this idea of the ancestry. And remember, in Africa, you guys know that the ancestors play an important role. So your positive color, just make this note, please. Speaker describes Africa's sweet music and talks of secret work. So in stanza 4, we see that the speaker shows a mystical understanding here at the top of the world. There's this strange secret and mysteriousness that is working, and we see of the dead or hear of the dead singing. Now, this idea of the dead singing is carried over to stanza 5, where we now get their message, and that's the reason for this. I just want to show you that this is the message that the dead is bringing him. And please remember that when answering about this poem, you must bear in mind the role of the ancestors in the lives of Africans. So the ancestors say, and they tell me that life is good. Take your positive color and mark life is good. And they tell me to live it gently, mark live it gently. With fire, mark fire. And always with hope, mark hope. There is wonder here, mark wonder. So many positive connotations there, but no negative. Do you see where we've come from, where we had almost more negative than positive to a more positive outcome? So again, we start the stanza with and, carrying the idea over. So he's heard the dead singing, and their message is that life is good, that people should live it gently with fire, and fire there representing passion, and with hope we should be optimistic. So this comes almost as a voice of authority, the ancestors telling him that this is what we should do. There is wonder here. Okay, so take your positive color and just make this note, please. And then just an extra note, you will notice that there's enjambment in from stanza 5 to 6, so over the stanza. And it's really to have that smooth flow of ideas. And in this stanza, we see that there is a positive tone. Then we're going to stanza 6. And there is surprise. Again, the and, carrying and adding on to what he said. And there is surprise in everything the unseen moves. Unseen, that mysteriousness. The ocean is full of songs. The sky is not an enemy. Destiny is our friend. Please take your positive color and mark these words: surprise, unseen, not an enemy, destiny, friend. So a lot of questions come from this stanza. Please make sure that you understand what it's all about. The very important part here is the last 3 lines. The ocean is full of songs, the metaphor there that emphasizes the idea of mystery, surprise, joy. Universe. The universe is not a hostile place, but full of all the miraculous possibility. So if we think of songs and you think of that as being possibilities and the ocean being life, then he's saying life is full of possibilities. The sky is not an enemy. The sky here can really be interpreted in a more figurative way, thinking of heaven and God, thinking that, you know, this higher being of authority is not against us. Destiny is our friend. Destiny is this idea of a predetermined path of life. So saying that as long as we stay positive, we decide to make destiny our friend. And that's really the message here, that we as Africans need to stay positive. And that's the uniqueness, celebrating our unique ability to do it. Destiny, of course, being personified there as a person, even though it's not, saying that this person is our friend. And then just the last note on the positive side, words to describe a sense of hidden mystery. Right, and then the tone here is of celebration and triumph, because it's like we have conquered despite all the hardships. Then I just want to give you an idea of a good essay question that can follow on this poem. In an African elegy, Okri mourns the pain of Africa and celebrates its unique resilience. Discuss the validity of the above statement, paying close attention to diction, imagery, tone. Now, if you go back to the fact that we've marked all of the examples of diction and you then add some figures of speech, then it's going to be very easy for you to answer this question. So good luck. I hope that this has contributed to your understanding of the poem. It's really one of my favorite ones that you have for grade 12 to do. And I think it really celebrates what it means to be African.